Anywhere in the world is our playground.
Welcome, everyone. It's hard not to be excited with intros like that. Welcome today to Retail Global and World First, presenting Taking Your Business Globally via Marketplaces. It's a thing we're all passionate about. Retail Global was founded on our own Phil Lay, going global through eBay many, many years ago. Not saying you're an old man, Phil, but we all know you've been a bit of a veteran in the industry for a while. I'll pay for that one a bit later. Now, I'm assuming all of you now have been wondering how to reach a wider audience and take your business overseas. No doubt, it's now or never, as we all seen the last year has thrown quite a few curveballs and e-commerce has skyrocketed worldwide, and the trend is only going up. Today, we've got a heap of experts that are going to talk online marketplaces with us. They're going to teach us how to expand our business globally via region and what to consider. We're going to have an interactive Q&A at the end. So at the very bottom of the screen, you'll see a Q&A function down there. So if you've got any questions at any point of the day, make sure you throw them in there. If you've got a dedicated person that you want to ask the question, throw their name in as well, and we'll be able to go from there. Now, I'm very excited. So for the next hour, we're going to hear from Ovi from World First, who's going to discuss payment challenges globally. We've got Tim James from Catch, who's going to discuss the Australian landscape, in particular the Catch platform. Jeremy Hunt, who's going to be doing everything China. It is the world's biggest marketplace. And then Retail Global's good friend and advisory council member, Calliope Sofianopoulos, is going to discuss the UK to US and everything in between. I'm going to throw across to Ovi to just kick us off with our first presentation. But first of all, we've got a little bit of a video here that we're going to discuss World First. So Ben, hit play if you can, my friend.
We enable companies of all shapes and sizes to connect with the world and grow to their full potential. It all starts online with World Account, by moving money around the globe through fast, affordable and secure payments. Our platform makes it easy for businesses to move money in multiple currencies. You can easily collect, convert or make payments, no matter where in the world your business takes you. Open individual local currency accounts in minutes with the click of a button. Set up multiple accounts to support all your marketplace and online storefronts, all without the need to visit a branch or have an address in country. Get a convenient real-time overview of all your account balances and move money between currency accounts instantly. Transfer funds back home or hold to pay your local suppliers. And you can save time on accounting with seamless zero integration. With World First low and transparent pricing, you'll always get great rates with no hidden fees, no setup fees, no subscription fees, and no annual transfer limits. You'll also get live streaming rates, so you can see the best time to trade. More than 250,000 customers have used our platform to send more than £80 billion globally. Deal with a real person. Our customer service and dedicated account managers are there to support you. No matter what challenge your business is facing, we make it easy to do business anywhere. So it's time to say hello to World Account, your easy alternative to a bank account abroad.
Thank you, Ben. So that's all we've got from Ben today for his help on the back end. So thank you very much, mate. Enjoy the rest of your day. Now, Ovi, I'd like to welcome you to turn your video on. Before we do, just a big hello to some of the people in the crowd. Don't jump on, Ovi. That was me getting a bit crazy there. Michelle, Moish, and Ishan, thank you for joining us. Catherine, Matt, Phil, Beck, Benjamin, Kathy, thank you for joining us again. Great to see so many familiar faces. Ovi, I'm going to throw across to you, mate. Turn my video off and let you crack on. So enjoy.
Thanks, Ashley, for the call. So, hi, my name is Ovi. I'm a senior manager at World First. I'm looking after e-commerce portfolio. But first of all, I would like to thank Retail Global for arranging such an amazing seminar and the webinar. So I'm sure, like with this thing to play with our with our speakers like Tim, Jeremy, and Kelly, it's sure to trigger a fire across the hearts of millions of entrepreneurs around the world. And time to go global. So I'll just cut it short. Uh, a bit about myself. So I'm coming from Bangladesh. I came to Australia a year and a half back. I'm a startup guy. I used to be working with fintech and e-commerce. Uh, Earlier to this, in a broader e-commerce perspective, I worked for Daraz as the lead of senior business development across the Southeast Asia markets. As you may know about, Daraz is the largest e-commerce marketplace across Southeast Asia of Pakistan, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Nepal. In 2018, it got acquired by Alibaba Group. It's serving over 300,000 retailers across the region and is the number one retailer in that space. Second to that, I was fond of getting into fintech. I got into SSL Commerce. This is the largest payment facilitator in the country. It serves over 90% of the market in the space and serves over 10 different product verticals. So with my experience, I've learned that e-commerce and fintech has the capability to empower businesses and entrepreneurs to take on to new strides, and new opportunities are coming up. So with my fascination of being in a startup, I just joined World First with my experience of fintech and e-commerce, looking after the e-commerce portfolio here and trying to scale up the business of Australia going global. So a bit on us. So World First is a company based out of UK. It started off in 2004, has around 10 different offices around the world with around 700 team members across the globe. In our experience, we served over 250,000 customers, $160 billion of transactions, and 1 million transactions a year. Became a part of Ant Group, which is a part of Alibaba Group in 2019, and we are on a mission to make it easy to do business anywhere. So with this mission, we are on a perfect stride over here as we are speaking on globalization with COVID and other things. E-commerce is skyrocketing. And there are three legs to the whole e-commerce triangle. So in my experience, I got the opportunity to actually see firsthand for a country like Bangladesh to build up the whole e-commerce infrastructure from the ground up, speaking to regulators, building up the delivery infrastructure, onboarding different sellers into the marketplace. There are three main areas for a business to look after. The first is the market itself, which my colleagues would be sharing in details. The second part is logistics, and the third part is payment. We tend to solve the payment problem over here. So with this payment node, as you would be going global, there are a certain number of challenges that a business face while they're trying to go global. The first is you're residing in Australia with an Australian bank account, but you are selling globally, receiving money in USD, in GBP, and many from different marketplaces and payment gateways. So every 15 days when Amazon gives you a payment, it comes into your bank account and as an Australian dollars. So just for an instance, for every $10,000 of payment that comes through, you're being charged $400, not to mention the setup fees, the monthly fees, the transaction fees, and many other hidden fees that goes through it. So that's where World First comes in. We are 8 times cheaper than a bank, and we provide all of these services through a powerful platform that's free to operate. So I'll just go into a step more detail, like in a more simple way, like how the whole thing works and the journey works. I'll just move this one here. So you're based out of Australia or you're based out of New Zealand. The first thing that you do is to speak with your supplier in China, for example. You'd be selecting a product, your own product, you're coming up with a new product and send it to Amazon FBA in USA, where they will be fulfilled by from the Amazon service centers. From there on, so you'll be making a Chinese supplier payment in RMB, and the Chinese supplier sends the products back to USA, where it's being held by the FBA centers. You'll be receiving money every 15 days from USA, from US dollars from Amazon into your Australian bank account. And this is where World First comes in. So every 15 days, USD is getting converted to AUD. You are not able to hold funds in US dollars, which you will then need to make payments to your suppliers. And this is the part that World First comes in with an international bank account for collection, issuing you with 10 different currencies to receive money in US dollars, and at the same time, making payments to your suppliers in US dollars as well. So with this overall stride, we are speaking about saving you between 5 to 10% of your overall turnover, and high level of fees that it can be easily saved. So working across, the two things that helps you out is we make international payments to overseas suppliers easy, save money on overseas suppliers payments with bank beating exchange rates, and do global business like a local by accessing local currency accounts. It's fast, secure, and it converts money at bank beating exchange rates, transferred to 68 currencies, and collect payments from global marketplaces. So on the last part, I would like to share, like, we have done integrations and partnerships with over 60 online marketplaces here. And some of our speakers would be diving into Amazon and Tmall. And these are the marketplaces that we are already integrated into, and you can receive payments directly from there as well. So just reach me out. And that's the part I would finish off my presentation over here. If you're selling global, there should be no limit to your ambition, and we would love to help you out in making your international payments easy. Thank you, Ash. If you can take it over from here.
Brilliant. Thank you, mate. Very much appreciated. I'm going to turn off your screen now, and then I'm going to throw across to Tim. Are you there, mate? So, Tim, although we're under each other on my screen, next to each other on other people's screens, I know we're only a stone's throw away in real life. We could have done this in person in better times, but very excited to introduce you. Partnerships Manager at Catch. I believe that's the right title.
It is the right title, yeah. One of several, but that's the right one for today.
We'll go with Chief Revenue Officer, Chief Partnerships Officer, King of Catch, everything in between. Perfect. I'm going to throw across to you now. I'm going to go off the screen and pop back on at the end as per normal.
Awesome. Thanks, Ash. And thanks, Ovi, and thanks, everybody, for attending this webinar today. Excited to sort of take you through a little bit of a history lesson on Catch as a business and Catch more specifically as a marketplace, and sort of where we fit within the Australian landscape, what e-commerce looks like more broadly, with some data and statistics from Australia Post in the Australian market. So excited to jump in and take you through this. So in terms of Catch and who we are, so we were founded in the early 2000s. We were originally a deal of the day site. So our business originally started with 5 people in a 200 square metre warehouse in Moorabbin in the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne. Grew rapidly through a very cult following that was very attached to the brand, very attached to the products and the pricing that our business was portraying to the Australian market, and through that grew quite aggressively as the e-commerce boom really started to take off in the mid to late sort of 2010 to 2020 kind of time frame. So we introduced a lot of fulfillment automation. In terms of where that sits now, we've got an 80,000 square metre warehouse in Melbourne with more than 100 autonomous robots that can pick up to 2,000 orders per hour over and above what our very strong team in that warehouse can deliver. We've also got a Club Catch, so a loyalty program. It's got more than 200,000 paid users to that program at the moment, and a great way that we drive value back to sellers that sit on our platform. 2017, we launched the marketplace. So relatively new for the Catch business in the grand scheme of things across the e-commerce and marketplace landscape in Australia, but has aggressively grown to become one of the leading online retailer and marketplace platforms in Australia. And that has all culminated in Catch being acquired by Wesfarmers. So for those who are international on this call, Wesfarmers is one of the largest retail conglomerates in Australia, owns some household name brands in Bunnings and Kmart, Officeworks and Target. So we're really proud to be part of that business just because of the enormous breadth that it gives us from an investment side of things, from a brand awareness side of things, and a brand credibility aspect as well. In terms of our vision, so the vision for our business is to be the trusted place for Australians start their shopping journey. I think what we in Australia have certainly seen, and I'm sure Jeremy and Callie can can attest to this as well, is that we're fast seeing that shoppers are moving away from always going to Google to research a particular product, and then they'll go to that brand or that retailer to buy whatever it is that they need. They're fast sort of gravitating towards platform shopping. And what I mean by that is that they'd rather go to platforms where you can buy a television, a pair of sneakers, and some dishwashing liquid, rather than going to individual online platforms to buy those products. So that's where our vision stems from. And I think it's also really important to touch on our values and the way that we govern our team internally, because that then provides a great seller experience for sellers on our platform, in addition to providing a wonderful customer experience as well. And sort of, I won't touch on all of these, but the two that stand out to me the most here are certainly data-driven decision-making. With the incredible growth of technology over the last 10 years or so, it's given us enormous access to data that allows us to make faster, smarter, more informed decisions than we ever have before. And the other one is customer obsessed. At the end of the day, if we don't have customers, we don't have a business. So everything that we do, we link that back to how is this going to impact our customers. So when we bring on new sellers to the marketplace, are they filling up a white space or unfulfilled search terms on our platform? Are they a trusted brand, a trusted retailer that can deliver to our customers in a timely fashion? So that's where the customer obsession is really driven from. In terms of our customer behavior, so this is just some headline stats on the Catch business. So more than 3 million active customers across Australia. We get over 8 million website hits to our platform every week. So that's just our web traffic. Got more than 1 million app users. Our mobile application in the iOS App Store is the #1 shopping app in Australia. And then we sell a product every 1.2 seconds and send across both the retail and marketplace business. We ship over 20,000 parcels per day to customers right around the country. In terms of marketing opportunities, so this is where we really drive a lot of value back to the sellers on our marketplace, just in terms of our ability to put more eyeballs on products on our site. So we have more than 2.5 million products on the Catch website at the moment. We've got enormous depth in our marketing capability to really bolster our brand. So the billboard that you can see on the screen here, this campaign is all about making everyday Australians famous. There's a couple of others sitting in the slide pack as well, but Mike Dyson's certainly a popular one, Taylor's Switch, Ned's Telly. So these playful tonalities on celebrities, but it's all about making everyday Australians famous, and it really resonates with the consumer population here in Australia. And we've got enormous reach across a number of different digital and physical streams to market our product, market our brand. And then another way in which we deliver value to not only customers, but also to the sellers on our platform. So I touched on Club Catch earlier. So members with Club Catch get free delivery, they get double Flybuys points and get exclusive access to weekly deals on products from both the retail and marketplace side. If I touch on Flybuys, so Flybuys is Australia's largest consumer loyalty program. So they have more than 8 million members across Australia. So that gives us an enormous amount of reach into a consumer base that are highly driven by loyalty and highly driven by earning points, and then conversely being able to redeem those points on products that they love. And then the third aspect of that is using all the latest available tech in buy now, pay later and multiple ways to pay. So as part of our service to marketplace sellers, we take on all of those fees that are associated with consumers buying through these different platforms. So another way in which we can deliver value directly to sellers that are on our platform. I've just dropped a couple of slides in here. So for anybody who is looking to sell into the Australian market who isn't already, I would highly recommend going and looking at the Australia Post e-commerce report. So this is pulled from the e-commerce report that they ran across 2020 and 2021. So I think naturally with the evolution of COVID-19 and the pandemic and almost forcing people to have to buy products online, we saw an enormous increase in online spend as a percentage of the overall retail spend here in Australia. So retail is a pretty big business in Australia, more than $300 billion a year. And to have 16.3% of online spend in that area is a phenomenal opportunity for retailers to become involved in across our country. This particular slide just talks to the number of households that consider themselves regular online shoppers. It's got some geographical breakdowns of where some of that growth has sat. And then also the amount of items per household that were purchased across 2019 and then comparing that to 2020. So again, really, really significant uplift in that, driven by some very obvious economic circumstances, and then also just through platforms like ourselves having a wider selection, and certainly in products that augment the experience for consumers in their home as well. And then finally, this is a really interesting one for us. So this is how Australians buy online. So by and large, we are driven by buying on mobile device. We spend an awful lot of time and resource and OPEX as well into the mobile and digital experience for Catch specifically. So we know that roughly 2/3 of our total traffic is driven through mobile shopping devices. So the notion that 83% of adult Australians use the internet for shopping in 2020, and of those 91% in 2020 used a mobile device to purchase, just talks to, I guess, ensuring that as a retailer, and this is not just for Catch, but also for all retailers and businesses selling online, ensuring that the mobile experience that you deliver to consumers is as good as it can be is going to be critical to your long-term success. From a marketplace standpoint, so this is just some of the value propositions that we can deliver to sellers on our marketplace. So clearly it's an ability to reach a new customer segment that might not otherwise be looking directly for your products. Our consumers love choice. So we see an awful lot of data in terms of how people sit on our website, how they sit on our mobile device, and they love scrolling through the products and the categories that we have on our channel. And of course, it's another way to sell. It's a really low cost, low barrier entry to another customer audience, and we try and make that process as frictionless as possible. We also give businesses the creativity to control their store. They've got total control over price and inventory, the way that they list product and all those sorts of things. Definitely have an impact to keep customers happy. We put an awful lot of emphasis on repeat purchasing behavior and try and encourage customers to come back to our site as often as possible, and also ensure that there's an extremely high level of protection and security on orders, and making sure that we take on that burden of ensuring that all orders go through a very stringent fraudulent checking process to ensure that A, we're protecting our customers, but then also B, we are protecting our sellers with that as well. And then finally, so all sellers that hit our marketplace get dedicated account management. So that team is solely focused on seller health and seller growth, because at the end of the day, if our sellers don't grow, then we're not doing our job properly by ensuring that sellers are selling successfully on our platform. The notion that we are an Australian founded company, we're an Australian owned and operated business, gives us deep expertise in this market. So for clarity, we only sell products to Australian consumers. We don't sell product globally. And our marketplace is powered by Miracles. So they're one of the largest marketplace platforms in the world. They've been a really deep strategic partner of Catch now for a number of years, and definitely give us the ability to scale as the e-commerce landscape continues to grow in this country. You've then got a very rigorous seller help center that's got an awful lot of content and detail around everything that can help a business grow and sell successfully on our platform, wide variety of integration options, and a very heavily invested support team ensuring that the onboarding process to our marketplace is as seamless as it can be. And then all of that is culminated into world-class customer support. So we've got full omni-channel support. It's available by phone, social media, full help center, live chat. We are one of the very few businesses that still provides that phone support to both sellers and consumers that operate 7 days a week. And ultimately that results in extremely high levels of customer satisfaction. So we've got a net promoter score across our business of 79. That's well above retail industry benchmarks here in Australia, with customer satisfaction ratings of 86%. That a lot of that is also driven by first contact resolution as well. and then plus 4-star ratings on both Trustpilot and Google. These are things that we monitor as a business really closely, and we're always looking for ways to improve. So, and we also encourage feedback from both our customers and sellers alike to ensure that we're delivering what we need to ensure that we're delivering a great customer experience and then also a great seller experience on our platform as well. And finally, that all culminates in being deep experts in the online space. We are an online only retailer. We don't have physical store presences. As part of that, it gives us a great opportunity to allow sellers to access a really unique audience that is highly engaged on our platform, highly engaged on mobile devices. And through that, we can combine powers of various different channels across both a marketplace and a retail landscape as well, ensuring that we're giving businesses who want to do business with Catch all opportunities based on the way that they work and what they want to achieve. We've got the flexibility and the expertise to help you get there. Ash, that's it from me, mate. So I'll stop sharing my screen and throw it back to yourself.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, mate. I guess one question, without putting you on the spot quickly, is
Sure.
Do you know what the industry average MPI score would be for retail?
I haven't seen the latest statistics. No, I won't hazard a guess, but the last number that I saw, which is going back a little while now, is around 63. So the notion that the notion that we're at 79 goes to show that we're doing the right thing by customers and they love our platform, love the choice, and also love the buying experience as well. But that number is also consolidated with seller experience as well. So it definitely demonstrates to us that there's always room for improvement first and foremost, but it certainly shows us that we are doing the right things across the e-commerce landscape here in Australia.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for that. We'll get you to pop back on at the end.
All good.
Now, let's go to the biggest the biggest market in the world. So, Jeremy, if you want to jump your screen and audio on there. Boy, how good is that zoom in and out you've got going on there? Can you hear me all right?
I can, yes. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yep, you're all good. I'll throw across to you now, mate.
Awesome.
Best of luck.
Thanks, Ash, and thanks, Tim. Great preso, mate. Hopefully my Zoom function will be as impressive as your preso, because I know that my preso may not be as colourful. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thanks, Ash, for hosting. I guess you're probably wondering why a non-Chinese person is going to talk about China. So I just wanted to go through a little bit about who I am as an authority in the sector. But firstly, I just want you to have a few points in mind about what you can take out of what I have to say. And hopefully you take this out, that firstly, there is a process to accessing China and the Chinese consumer. There is a regulation and there is a framework to support entering and thriving in the channel. There are third-party providers, agencies, and companies that will assist the journey with you, whether it's your state government or federal government. And there is demand for our product. I know that there's a lot of clickbait going around, and I know that when I say that, there's the real fact of the geopolitical conflict. There is the real fact that there are tariffs that get increased seemingly overnight. But we're talking to people at the end of the day, and consumers, and those consumers have the buying power and the capacity, because these platforms that I'm going to talk about enable them to purchase our great products. And I guess the last outtake is understanding that there needs to be a nerve that you hold, and attention that you can endure, because this channel is a very challenging channel. Just on me quickly, CEO of The Common Good and co-founder with my other co-founder, Tim Brown. We were a distributor before we set up this company, a distributor for over 170 different brands from Australia and New Zealand. So I classify things as tiers. That's very much how the consumer in China sees it. So tier 1 brands in vitamins such as Swiss, where I was marketing manager before co-founding a distributor business, Healthmore. Blackmores, Sanofi, Pharmacare, into baby and maternity products like infant formula from Bellamy's or A2, or baby washers from Gaia, for example, into cosmetics and beauty brands like Natio, up to Aesop and Lucas Pawpaw and Jurlique, and then personal use items. So we got to cover a whole gamut of products. And really how this all started was in 2013, we noticed people buying some Swiss products from pharmacies. And you all would have heard the Daigou stories, the soup case trade stories, and that very much enabled and pioneered the cross-border e-commerce sector from Australia and New Zealand to China. People would say potentially that it started in 2007 with the melamine incident, but really the hype and hysteria started around 2013 and 14. And that was before platforms existed. So I was literally relying on local Chinese consumers to pick and pack and send it in with tourists back to China. But now we're in a system that is heavily regulated. There's still a little bit of grey though. There's a framework that is set out for us to actually exist in this channel. And right now what we do at The Common Good is we do some advisory business where we're helping brands map out their journey to enter the China market. And most brands actually, if you're retailing or e-tailing already in Australia or New Zealand or the West, you already have a presence probably without knowing. There is a consumer here that is seeing your product and sharing it, or there is a consumer in China that accesses your website or your Instagram or other socials. And so, you know, when we talk about China and the ecosystem that exists there, we always reference the global ecosystem because anyone can access your website and any influencer can share a post on the social media platform in China. So you're probably already there, but we run an advisory business and we also have some brand creation side of our company. So that's who I am. China, I love to explain China as a palm tree because in Australia, we operate by a very regulated system of rules. And that's governed, by example, the ACCC or TGA or FSANZ or whatever category you're in. Now, and we know what the start is and what the finish is and every step in between. In China, it is a palm tree because there's rules and there's a framework. However, it likes to shift provincially. So what you might do in Shenzhen and how you enter the market in Shenzhen through a free trade zone, for example, or if you're registered offline and you go to a port, trying to do the same thing in the Shandong province or in Beijing or in Henan, they will interpret those rules differently. Even though they're a national body, the interpretive aspect is very difficult to get your head around. That's why I like to think it's palm tree. So holding the nerve, which is one of those outtakes I'd like you to have from this, is key. But this page shows that, you know, if you can ride that wave and you can understand or have the ability to not understand but still give it a crack, these are numbers that support why people get so excited and why there are these amazing stories of brands that have either catapulted to, you know, a top 10 import brand or have sold lots of units or have educated lots of consumers or have built brand equity there, because it's a sheer numbers game. It's people who have the power through finances and who have been enabled through platforms to buy our products. So the numbers speak for themselves, and yes, they're daunting, and yes, it's intimidating, and yes, it's confusing. But there's a juxtaposition to that, is that it can also be quite easy if you understand how to navigate that ecosystem. I can't do China in 3 minutes, but I can give you a bit of a snapshot that there are three main ways: retail or bricks and mortar or traditional trade, which is having a good that's registered in China that is then sold in a retail environment. That is not something that I know and don't get involved in, but it's the data shows the size of that market. It's still the largest single sector of consumption. So offline is still the biggest part. Cross-border, which is our cup of tea, that is what all brands that you've probably heard of succeeding in China have succeeded with and succeeded on. And I'll get into that one on one of the other slides about how that ecosystem works. And then network marketing, that is the traditional Tupperware marketing, or the Amway or Herbalife. And then there's this kind of bit that's merged since COVID exists, since COVID caused a pivot in the sector, which is where social e-commerce has been born. And that's where network marketing meets online. And there are some amazing apps, and one, a few actually that are listed that have risen to success, and others that are trying to figure out how they can encourage network marketing from a social sharing perspective. But CBEC, that's where we focus on. So CBEC, everyone knows of Alibaba, hopefully you do. Alibaba has nearly 30 other platforms that exist under its ecosystem. There are payment gateways, there's logistics services, there's marketing services, but there's over 30 e-commerce divisions. The leader in our mind is Tmall, and why we say leader, it's seen as your brand's billboard of China. It's heavily regulated. It's known in the market as being only authentic, credible goods. It sets a price point and a positioning statement for people to go and reference and check what your brand is doing. It's the credibility of being one of the first in market is sort of puts it as the top of the ladder when it comes to tier one platforms. There are thousands of platforms. So when you're trying to map out a strategy, you look at Tmall and everyone says, let's go to Tmall, but there's so much more that you need to consider in cross-border e-commerce. There's social media, which we don't get into, that plays a major role in CBEC. The influencers, the consumers posting references of how they use the products, the key opinion leaders on how they use their products, the live streaming, and all of this you plug and play into your CBEC strategy at some point in time. Getting started, firstly, it's your mindset on how you look at the market and how to understand how you're wanting your strategy to go. And then it's being, I guess, adjustable to throwing that strategy out a couple of weeks later, because you realise the narrative and the tone and the look and the feel of how you want your product to be is not interpreted that way in China. So it's really a mindset change or a mindset approach on how you're wanting this market to be. How you're wanting to be in this market. The second thing is listening to the market. There is so much data to support how you're going to do this, how you're going to enter, what your peer group set looks like, how your peer group set sells, their promotional pattern, the social media strategy, who they use, what their USPs and how they promote, the keywords that they're tapping into. So they're not necessarily saying that the product function is what people are searching for. It could be a key ingredient, or what might be trending is an ingredient's benefit. So things that you need to listen for in the social media listening are very different to what might be happening here in social media in the West. So getting that data and getting those insights and listening to what the market is and how your competitors position themselves, how they price themselves, and their tone is really important. There's a rigorous process when it comes to testing in the market and getting feedback from the market. This is essentially a flow chart of how you could enter. Stage one is, as I said before, you're probably already
Hey,
in
Jeremy, if there's no flow chart on screen at the moment, you might need to switch it up.
Can you see this one?
We've got the brand architects TCG group slide at the moment.
Right. So
there we go. I think that's what we're looking for.
So this is the size of the market and the data going back. Sorry, Ash. So this is when I was talking about the palm tree and the regulations and the size of the prize being China. This is the options of how to enter the market with general trade versus cross-border versus network marketing. When we talk about getting started and having the right mindset, but then I was going into this flow chart. So Ash, can you just confirm that this is up?
Yep, looks great.
Oh, cheers. Okay. So stage one, you're probably already at as a brand entering the market where there's a Chinese consumer who is aware of your brand. And so we're really trying to build the presence of the local community that are on WeChat and that can share and that can communicate back in China mainland. So this is where traditionally we'll talk about Daigou. Daigou now have pivoted to not just going in and buying at a retail level and then posting and sharing, but they're just sharing digitally. So they're not necessarily buying stock here and then sending stock back. They will share a link to a site that you can purchase from in China. And so you can still have a marketing relationship with them. And it's really important when you build that presence within the community here in Australia or New Zealand. And what we want them to do is still promote our goods and still promote our USPs back in China, but do it digitally. And so the action there would be, how do we set up a relationship and a community within the Chinese landscape here that we can then use as a backboard for when we actually launch something in China. So after we get enough traction, we move into stage two, which is basically amplifying and starting to spend a bit of money on influencers and setting up some other China-based social media accounts. Why do we not go straight into sales? Because if we go straight away and set up a Tmall store, which is on stage 3, if we do that in stage 1 and we've got no traffic and we've got no data and we've got no customer referrals, we've got no reviews, there's no assets and no contents for them to research, we're not going to get any traction. So we need to do the foundational build first, which is the social media side. You look at any recent case study, and I'm not talking about the Swisses, the Blackmores, the A2s, the Bellamy's, the A2s. You look at any recent one, it's all about the investment in marketing and social media to build a community around your brand before you actually launch a e-commerce site. If people want to purchase from your .com.au site, they will. They'll find a way to do it. If people want to purchase through Taobao, where sellers are selling to sellers, they will. But an investment in a e-com site like Tmall can only happen and should only happen after there's enough of a foundation that's been built. This is the last slide, conscious of time. We're always asked about success stories in China, and I mentioned some brands before there. The market's changed since the Swisses and the A2s and the Blackmores and the Bellamy's, etc. The market's changed so much that if you look at those two bubbles, when Bellamy's and Swiss were in their dominance, there were just 5,500 brands on Tmall versus nearly 30,000 brands now. So the competitive nature is huge. The China domestic economy, meaning China made for China consumption, is a policy. So we're competing against local brands and we're competing against other Western brands. And so the success stories are really about brands that can plug and play by using Douyin or using TikTok or using Little Red Book to build a community around their product and brand to sell on Tmall or sell on a tier 1 platform. It's not about merely just providing access to your stock and having a Daigou or a trader or a distributor flog that stock. And that's why I think now is actually a really exciting time to enter the market, because there's more of a strategic approach to doing it, building a brand relationship with the consumer and then offering them a product that has a function and a benefit at a price point. And so we can control more of that language rather than just trading stock. So I apologize for the previous slides not showing, but happy to share and happy to have the Q&A afterwards. And Ash, that wraps me up.
Brilliant. Thanks, mate. Honestly, I think the content was that good. It didn't really matter about the slides.
Right. Okay.
So very much appreciated. Let's jump into last but not least, Callie, so we can kick on with the Q&A afterwards. Callie, can you join us on screen?
I can.
There we are. There's a familiar
Hello. That was amazing. He's a legend. I kept up fine. I only realized about maybe 5 or 6 slides through that he was actually supposed to be changing slides because he was giving so much content. Now that's amazing. And I don't know if I can keep up with those amazing speakers. Let me see if I can first share my screen and make sure that I share the right one and that I don't do the same boo-boo because I'm not nearly as amazing as Jeremy was, and I will not be able to keep up. The reason I've got slides today, guys, is not because they're important, but more to keep me in line and stop me from talking too much. So utilizing Amazon global selling is going to be what I'm talking about today. And for some of you that already know me, I'm an Amazon expert, excuse me. I'm an Amazon expert. I'm an Amazon and e-commerce seller who started a few years ago, over a decade ago now, selling my own brands on eBay. At some point, I did join Amazon USA in 2015. And at that point, I was fulfilling all my orders myself from Australia. And I've got to admit that the Amazon side of my business was not very successful at all. I kept on hearing people talking about what's called FBA, or Fulfillment by Amazon. And when I did finally do it, I was shocked at the amount of sales that I got within a month of going from what's called FBM and fulfilled by merchant, or essentially me selling my own products and doing my own fulfillment and fulfilling my own orders from here in Australia, to sending my products to Amazon USA. At the time, Amazon Australia didn't exist, sending my products to Amazon USA and getting them to do the pick, pack, shipping. So when Amazon did launch in Australia, I was one of the first sellers who listed products on the platform. And at the time, I started teaching other people how to do the same. And this is probably not in the huge numbers when it comes to the Amazon part of my business. And quite frankly, at the time, Amazon seemed to be a very, very small part of what I was doing. But the minute that I did send my products into FBA in the USA, my sales did go from pretty much negligible and 2 or 3 sales a week to $10,000 in sales in the first month, which is why I love Amazon and why I love FBA. I do believe that in order to go internationally, and I am going to be talking today to the people who are already selling their products here in Australia, and you absolutely have to be on as many platforms as you can. Catch is one of the best platforms here in Australia. But if you do want to go internationally, you just can't go past Amazon. So some of the reasons why Australian sellers don't sell internationally, I get this in a lot of the Facebook groups. Shipping times are very slow from Australia to most countries around the world. So sellers are very hesitant to send their products or to even list them internationally, especially on eBay, because it's going to take so long for their products to reach other countries. Shipping prices, they're super expensive. You find that it can cost $30 with Australia Post for for a very, very small parcel to go to the USA, and the same goes for a lot of other products. And when you're not really a huge seller and you don't have amazing accounts with a lot of shippers, then understandably you don't want to be listing products at very high prices so that you can make up those shipping prices. Many countries have customs and sales tax regulations. I hear a lot of sellers telling us that when a product arrives in the UK, and a lot of things are changing on multiple marketplaces right now, but when a product arrives in the UK, a customer will sometimes not even go and pick it up because they hear that they have to pay the customs at the post office, and some of the regulations and the sales tax and VAT in different countries are quite difficult for small businesses to comply with. Customer service, it's almost impossible for multiple languages. So when you actually list your products internationally, it's so hard to even communicate with the customers or even trust that you will not have issues with payment processes, etc. Website issues, scam payments that happen through processes, etc. I just hear from a lot of sellers who are only selling here in Australia that it's just too hard. And I'm gonna give you an idea of how easy it became for me and how easy it is for a lot of other sellers that I help every day to sell internationally through Amazon. So there's a lot of reasons why sellers hate Amazon, and I'm probably going to get a lot of questions about that at some point today, but there are multiple reasons why successful sellers love Amazon. The most important of those reasons are, number one, customer acquisition. Customer acquisition overseas is always going to be much harder without Amazon than what it is with Amazon. When you list your products on Amazon and you don't rely on your own advertising and socials and all those wonderful things that you can be doing with your own website, when you're relying on Amazon though, you've already got 200 million Prime members. They are the most loyal of customers who are paying Amazon every year to have what's called Prime membership, and they are those 200 million accounts refer to 200 million households, not just 200 million people scattered across the world. And the other reason why sellers love Amazon is distribution. How many times as sellers have we said that I just can't handle the customers? It would have been amazing if I could just do e-commerce without needing to talk to a customer ever. And that's where Amazon FBA, or Fulfillment by Amazon, comes in, where Amazon takes their world-class customer service and distribution, and they make it available to us third-party sellers so that we don't have to pick, pack, ship, provide any kind of customer service to their customers. Now, there's a good reason why buyers love Amazon, and that's what we're here for, because there are a lot of customers, even the non-Prime members, who love Amazon and still use it regardless of whether they get free shipping. But customers, what they love is better prices, free shipping, millions of products available to them. Why? Because Amazon does have a lot of third-party sellers and a lot of brands that they sell apart from their own. Great customer service. fast, easy returns, one-click buying, the kind of things that most of us sellers provide our customers ourselves, and they do it on a much larger scale. The most important reason why Prime customers love Amazon is that they get fast delivery. 1 to 2 day delivery is not uncommon. I've actually taken some screenshots off of my own email, and this is just an example of my own order. I bought something on Amazon, ordered it on the 3rd of February at 2:49, received it at 12:35 the next day, and I've had even faster. I just couldn't find them in my emails. I just grabbed the first one that was close enough to what I was looking for. Most of my orders do come within a day. I am in Metro Melbourne, but a lot of customers around the world, that's exactly how they receive their deliveries. And obviously, this is typical for metro areas and areas where fulfillment centres are close. Now, how do they achieve it? And it is because of FBA, because of Fulfillment by Amazon. And I'm guessing that most of you already have an idea of how this works, but when a seller sends inventory to Amazon FBA anywhere across the world, what Amazon then does is they distribute it to multiple fulfillment centers so that there is always inventory everywhere in every single fulfillment center in that country. What that does is that when a customer goes to shop on Amazon, they will see how long the product will take to get to them, with free shipping that they get for their Prime membership. That time frame will always be shorter as long as there is enough product in the fulfillment center closest to them. How does Amazon FBA make international selling easier for sellers? And there's a lot of different ways, but I'm just going to touch on a few of them, and there's no way that I'm going to be able to go through all the different ways and all the different programs that Amazon has. I mean, it takes people selling for 2-3 years to find out what is available to them. There is just so many wonderful products that you can use. Something that is fairly new and has had a huge upgrade just lately is what's called the global selling interface. And what that means is where up to a couple of years ago, what we needed to do is if we wanted to sell in Australia, we needed an Australian account with an Australian email. If we wanted to sell in the USA, exactly the same. But if today you're already selling in Australia and you've got an Amazon account, an Amazon Australia account, and you're selling there, what you could potentially do is go to your dashboard, your Seller Central dashboard, find Selling Globally under Inventory, and add as many countries as you would like to sell in. Now, depending on who you are, whether you're right at the beginning of your journey or a long way in, you could potentially sign up to multiple Amazon marketplaces and Amazon countries, whereby you can actually send your product to that country and get Amazon to then do the fulfillment. That still means that you're exporting your products into another country. So if you're not comfortable with that, even if you don't want to send your product to multiple countries, you're able to send your products to one country, and then Amazon will, depending on the country, be able to export the products on your behalf. So there are a lot of products right now that we are able to buy here in Australia from the USA. That's exactly the same way that things are done, whether somebody is is living in England and wants to purchase something from France, etc., etc. So even if you don't send your inventory into every single country, you are able to utilize Amazon's export program. And Amazon has just opened the export program for Australia. It's very, very small at the moment. So right now, customers in the USA can't buy the products that you've listed on amazon.com.au unless you actually send them to the USA. As we all know, Amazon is still on day one in Australia, but Kiwis can now buy from amazon.com.au. So it's a great start, and we're waiting to see how many more countries that will be added to that export program. Sales tax. One of the big ones is sales tax, whether it's issues with how do I sign up for state sales taxes in the USA. There's a very, very complicated system over there. Whether it's VAT registration, you will still need to get set up, and Amazon makes it really, really easy on its back end. You can start the process on Amazon. If you're only selling on Amazon, Amazon is a marketplace facilitator for multiple countries, including Australia, where they charge for and remit GST. So if you were living overseas and weren't charging GST in Australia, you could still sell in Australia. But Amazon can help with tax compliance. That doesn't mean that you don't need an accountant, not tax advice, what I say in these cases. But also branding. Amazon helps you. They assist with your branding, with your marketing, and with protecting your brand. One of the big ones that you've probably heard so far is brand registry. At the press of a button, you can check to see where your products are sold, whether they're being sold by authorised resellers. You can check to see whether there are counterfeits on the marketplace. But at the same time, the fact that you're a brand owner, if you are, and if what you're doing is what's called private label selling in Amazon's world, then all you need to do is just put all that branding and make sure that your name, your brand name, everything is reflected on the Amazon platform. And there are multiple ways to do that. What should you be doing? Essentially, what you need to be doing is taking advantage of Amazon's 200 million and growing loyal Prime customers. They are the people that are buying a lot more than any other customer on Amazon. They are the ones that have one-click buying on their account. So you've got customer acquisition, you've got access to their customers, you've got customer service. You don't need to speak to another customer again if you don't want to, and you've got the amazing distribution services that Amazon offers. And that's a wrap from me.
Brilliant, thank you, Callie. Well, my video's not popped on just yet.
Was that short enough?
To come back on now and turn their screens. We've got a few questions before we finish up. Can I invite Tim, Jeremy, and Ovi to come back on screen? There we go. While we wait for the others, Tim, let's crack on with you. The first question here I've got is nice and easy. How do we get started selling on Catch?
Yeah, good question, mate. So anybody who is interested in selling on Catch can jump to sell.catch.com.au. So this is a landing page that's got an awful lot of information around who we are, some of the headline statistics that we covered today, in addition to some of the deeper requirements around sort of what we look for in sellers and all that sort of thing. So I'm also happy to share a link after this session that's specific to this webinar that would also give any business who wants to sell on Catch 3 months free on our platform. So that's 3 months free of store fees. So all you would pay is the commission on sales, and that's it.
Brilliant, thank you. It's a nice little sweetener for the audience. Ovi, I've got a nice question here that I think hopefully it's easy for you. I don't want to trump you up where we're trying to make everyone look amazing on screen. Do we face any tax implications in foreign countries as we open foreign accounts?
No, you don't own any tax obligation in that regard. But as Justice Cali mentioned, there is sales tax and other tax that may be involved with different platforms and different regions. But the foreign currency accounts that we provide is completely based upon your Australian entity, and there is no tax obligation in that regard, except in Australia.
Brilliant, thank you. Jeremy, I'm conscious you're on mute as well, so when you answer, we'll avoid that 2020 moment, right? What would you say the minimum sales volume is for a domestic seller looking to tap into China from experience with brands you've worked with?
The minimum sales volume, well, I would say 0 for the first year. So don't expect to sell anything unless, so they say you invest $1, you sell $1. So there's a famous saying that those that set up a Tmall store after they've had social media set up, they've spent $1 million and they got $1 million in GMV in return. It's about building the brand community and the equity that you have there within the purchases that you will see that return supersede invest $1, receive $5 type thing. So it is an expensive market to set up, and that's where Alibaba have set up a global discovery mall, which enables you to test the market. There isn't a cost to actually onboard there. You can get your stock sitting in an Alibaba warehouse in Melbourne or in Sydney or in Auckland, and they will promote the product on your behalf. And so that's probably the best thing to do, where it's a minimal cost investment, no setup fees, and you can then actually assess what your return could be and make a plan accordingly.
Brilliant, thank you. Callie, how do you handle product returns from the FBA centers in the US? This is a good question.
You don't.
Yeah, it's been topical lately.
Amazon does. There are different policies as to what happens to those returns. So Amazon will receive the returns through FBA. From there on, lockdown magic. From there on, once you're organised enough in any one country, you might want to get yourself a 3PL where Amazon can send your products there, where they're checked on your behalf and perhaps, I don't know, sent back to you or whatever else. It just does depend on the value of your products and how big your business is. But really, with returns, you just let Amazon do their thing and receive the returns, check them, put them back on the shelf and put them up for sale again.
And Casey, just another bit of reference point for that one. There is a company we do a lot of work with called Gatita out of Brooklyn. Yoni's spoken on stage many times. He actually helps with issues like this, where if there's contentious around the value of goods, whether in your FBA or not, they help you get some money back there. So more than happy for you to reach out about it.
That is an amazing point. And you can also, if you're not big enough to worry about too many of those, it's more the lost and damaged products. Eventually, when you're selling enough, there's going to be a large amount of those. You can also check for those yourself. There's a couple of other tools as well that we can talk about, but essentially what you're doing is you're asking Amazon to reimburse you for any lost or damaged products in the warehouse.
Brilliant, thank you for that one. Tim, back to you here, mate. Will you open the New Zealand catch to Australian sellers, and also will the seller experience be similar to what it is now? I'm not sure about the second half there, but are you going to open, is catch currently in New Zealand? Are you then going to open up to them? What's the magic word?
It's a good question. So the short answer is no. So Catch at the moment can fulfill first party orders. So that's retail orders into New Zealand. We don't have any plans at the moment to expand the marketplace into the New Zealand area. One of the principal reasons for that is that we know just how much time and effort and skill sets you need to go and craft a brand in a different country, right? So we've seen the likes of an Amazon and eBay do it really, really well globally, but it has taken a lot of resource and effort to get there. We also know that e-commerce platforms like The Market and TradeMe and whatnot do extremely well over there. So for us to go and disrupt that market would take a lot of effort that we're not looking to invest in at this point in time.
Awesome. And if you are in New Zealand, I know Tim and I are hopefully jumping on a plane in a couple of weeks' time to Queenstown for Retail Global Aotearoa. So retailglobal.co.nz for information on that one, and then you can come hound him in person.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I've got another one here for you, Ovi. How do you help guide sellers through the challenge of international logistics, payment-wise? So it's a little bit of a loaded question there, I think, but what's the main selling point for World First to help going into these new markets?
So the first point is providing you with the international bank accounts, actually, and that helps you with at least 5 to 10% of your turnover. The second part is you'd be able to hold US dollars in your currency and pay your Chinese suppliers or other suppliers directly with that currency. So necessarily, you don't have to convert that amount of money from US dollar to AUD every time you receive a payment, and that's how you save the money. The second part of the process is the different charges and rate structures that are available with the banks, because they are not really specialized for this kind of service. So there are monthly fees, transaction fees, receiving fees, and on top of there is poor margins. So on an estimate, like for $10,000 of payment, they would be charged with $400 on margins and the other fees. So in case of World First, there is no such fees as of such. There is a fixed margin, and we don't charge on the basis of transactions. We have a fixed margin irrespective of the volume that you undertake across the period.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that one. Well, I think that's most of the questions now. We've got a couple of questions on Amazon around the ease of flicking into different countries, etc. But I'm going to ask if you take these offline, and you can reach out to if I throw to the panel, if the audience wants to get in touch with more information, what is the best way? Callie, I know you've got your Facebook group. Is that the best way to contact you?
Absolutely. I'm just typing my email address in the chat box right now for anybody who wants to get in touch with me. I am at Amazon Sellers Australia, USA and Global. That's the Facebook group that I admin, and I've got a big presence on.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Jeremy, I can see you've put it here. Is it jeremy@tcgg.com.au, the best reference point? Amazing. Tim, is it that I believe you're going to send us a link to share with everyone?
Yeah, so link is in the chat at the moment. I've just dropped my email in there as well. So email, LinkedIn, one of those platforms. More than happy to answer any questions that have come off the back of this.
Amazing. And Ovi, is there a best email, or should they reach out via that link you put in the chat as well?
Yeah, I'm just sending my number as well as my email address. So if anyone tries to reach me out, I would be happy to provide a preferred pricing for the 10 days of this webinar.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, everyone. It was really informative. Traditionally, if we've gone 15, 20 minutes over, I think we might have had a big drop off, but it's quite a lot of people have stayed on because I think this has been a really relevant topic that we've all enjoyed thoroughly. As mentioned, we are heading to Queenstown next month, and then Retail Fest April 11 to 14, which is going to be exciting. And another one that we're going to launch shortly, Catch Digital Day on the 1st of September. So come see Tim and the rest of the team as they jump on board with that one. So Kelly, Jeremy, Tim, Ovi, thank you very much. Catherine, Matt, so you guys are watching, thank you for your support. And to the whole entire audience, thank you. I hope you've really enjoyed this session, and we'll see you all soon.
Thank
you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate the time. Ciao.
Have a great day.
Everywhere in the world is our playground.